after a global search meeting hundreds of people, I and the search committee were thrilled to meet our next head of school, Dr. Raynard Kingdon, who represents everything that we represent: excellence, compassion, passion for the world, non-sibby. He is everything that we are, and we are thrilled to have him and his husband, Peter, and his two boys, Basil.
Wow. Thank you.
My spouse and my two boys came on sort of a secret trip several weeks ago, actually before I was offered the position. And I had come twice. Once before, several years ago. I came here because of the historical ties between them. So I toured the campus, and then I came back once more, actually twice. Once for the final interview, and another time just for sort of with a very quiet sort of tour. This is a beautiful campus one. You know, for the types of positions that I'm interested in, they don't just come up every year. It's not like, and the things that interest me are unusual types of positions, and so I can't very well just say, "Oh, I'll wait until the next one comes," because there won't be a next one in, for 15 years or something. And the boys are still getting used to the idea of moving. So they moved to Iowa when they were 1 and 4. So it's been 10 years. So for them, that's the only world they've known. So they're still sort of trying to get used to the idea. But I think this trip sort of helps consolidate for them. They love the President's House and the campus and the sports facilities, but most importantly, they're using this as opportunity to finally agree to let them get a dog. So I think they're going to do okay. It was it was unusual high school. It was a science and engineering high school, public high school in Baltimore, founded in the 1880s. Baltimore was a very segregated city, extremely segregated. So even though it was after technical desegregation, within the school, the technical program when I was there was maybe 70% black. The college prep, standard college prep program was maybe 50-50. In advanced college prep, I was, in a class of 30, I'd be the only African-American kid. So you'd have these really stark divisions and sort of schools within schools that were very racially divided. And it was just a very complicated place. It has an interesting little footnote to history of desegregation. So they had this advanced college prep program that was unusual in that if you finished the program, by agreement, there were like 6 or 7 universities in the Mid-Atlantic region who would grant graduates of that program sophomore status. African-American kids were not allowed into the school. They had a separate school called Douglas. And Thurgood Marshall was from Baltimore and was working in the OACP, later Supreme Court Justice. He realized that this school presented a unique opportunity for litigation, because one of the ways that white segregated school systems tried to avoid integration was to make separate but equal actually equal. So they'd say, oh, so we don't have the black school doesn't have a science teacher, we'll just add a science teacher. Then they're exactly the same. They're separate but equal and therefore legal. They thought that's what they would do. But because this program was unique, it couldn't be replicated. And Thurgood Marshall knew that, and the legal team knew that. So they started down the path. The bottom line was that the school and many of the political system knew that if this case went to the Supreme Court, they would lose it. The segregationists would lose, and it would stop all segregation across the whole country. So they integrated the school because there's a concern that if this case went on, it would make it to the Supreme Court, and it would ultimately result in a Brown type decision. Just really celebrate what is remarkable, and that's that institutions have changed. As an openly gay person, as an African American, I'm the son of an immigrant from an Ellis Island immigrant. You know, there are many places where I am now where 50 years ago even, it would not have been well received. So all I can do is sort of celebrate and recognize that we're in a better place. I have an obligation to try to open doors because people open doors that allowed me to get where I am. And it wasn't just a given. It was going to happen. You know, things changed because people worked together, made sacrifices to make them change. And so I try to remind myself of that as often as I can. I think the whole issue of wellness and sort of how do you know, it's one thing to be fit and well and informed when the gym is right across the street and you don't have kids, and you don't have a job, and you have lots of stuff to do, but it's easy in many ways. How you keep up that after it becomes hard. I think our institutions should own some of that as well. I think some of the shift toward wellness as an approach is the right direction, but I think we have more to do there. My sense is looking at the range of classes, it's clear that a lot of the classes really cut across disciplines, particularly the upper level classes. I mean, that seemed obvious from what I've seen thus far. So I can't answer the question, but what I've seen, some of the topics of classes, particularly upper level classes. I was just hearing someone who took one of the tour students who gave a tour this morning had taken a course on music and neurosciences and sort of how music is processed in the brain, and I thought, wow, I'd love to take that course. I mean, but it talk about interdisciplinary. That's a perfect example of a course that cuts across the discipline. So the fact that you have courses like that is impressive.